things that really stick out in my mind. One is that the gospel brings us joy, that at the end of the day, if the joy is missing, something has gone terribly wrong. And I think that is the controlling metaphor that I think that governs what has been going on with Pope Francis's ministry so far, and I'm just so happy he wrote it down. The second part is, my second has to do with two things that show up in his work. People talked about the new evangelization, and Alfred talked about how that requires a certain introspection. But I think there are challenges, particularly to the American Catholic Church, that Francis is pointing out. In the American Catholic Church, the new evangelization has always been kind of posed as, how do we get the world back in here? And Francis is saying, problem number one, that's the wrong perspective. What is wrong with us? That's the first problem. And I think that is very much upsetting to, as you said, Donald, some of the bishops who might not have ever had that idea about elements of their ministry, and that's important. And the second part of that is Francis' emphasis on the words ordinary pastoral ministry, that everything that we do, from parish to seminary to episcopal to even himself, has to be called to conversion to this notion of ordinary pastoral ministry. Everyone is to be converted to this ideal of ministry, which subjugates any sort of idea to promoting an individual's relationship with Jesus Christ. Why does this need to be said? That's a good question. So I think that in the American church, we have to think clearly about how that rhetoric has not been made present to us. And I think even if we don't want to admit that Francis is, liberal or conservative, or that he's not changing anything, and that's totally fine. He has changed the tone in which the American church can go about naming any particular teaching. He says the Catholic Church has been confused with this stance on gay marriage, abortion, and the ordination of women. That is not the Catholic Church. And if that is the Catholic Church that you know, forget it. I'm really happy for this idea of ordinary pastoral ministry as the controlling metaphor in an American church that's calling the American church to a conversion, but to a conversion ultimately to joy. That we can't be joyful if we're hindered by constantly talking about the law, the law, the law. But the freedom and the gospel is really what he's trying to get us to see. So I'm really happy.